just thought about this. Because
Okay.
I have them writing a word on this sticky note, and I don't know if it'd be good if they saw the word. So I don't know if I should change the wrap up to having them like face the other way and then like close their eyes and then I say the word and then have them say the initial and ending phoneme to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. You're saying instead of having them write it, they
Mhm.
would tell you the
Or
initial.
yeah, like I would tell them a word, like say
Right.
the word out, and then they would have to tell me the initial and ending phoneme.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. And maybe if you're are you doing it out loud? So they were around other people. So then they would all need to have different words because then they're going to all know, when someone shares it. But that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
great idea.
Okay. So,
Okay.
oh,
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna answer the question, but do you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
me?
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, I got ahead of
So
myself.
the you're fine. So the objective of the wrap up would definitely for them to being able to identify the initial and ending phoneme like in the dark. So
Mhm.
they aren't seeing the word. They just have to think of it and identify the pieces.
Okay. So they're going to be continuing with what you've taught them, and this time they're doing it on their own, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm moving on to the next question. So, how will you display and explain the objective to the students in kid-friendly language?
So I'll be saying the learning objectives at the beginning and the end of the lesson to the students so they know exactly what they're doing. I'll also be saying it in the instructions for the activity so they know how it correlates to the learning targets.
Yeah, and if your target is like today I don't know, I can identify the first and ending sound. You could even have them act it out with you. I can identify the first and ending sounds. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Where they can do it with you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so you'll be referring to that throughout the lesson. Tell me about the next question, the differentiation strategies that you will use throughout your lesson, including multiple means of representation, the what of learning, multiple means of action expression, the how of learning, and multiple means of engagement, the why of learning.
So I will be for the what of learning, I'll be verbally saying it to them. And then
Mhm.
I'm also gonna use probably construction paper and I'll be making little posters for them so they like know like the initial and ending phoneme with examples underneath so they can look back to that if
Okay.
they get stuck. Um let's see what else. Why they're learning and the engagement. I have them doing the matching sort activity so they
Right.
can better understand by not seeing the words but picking out the picture and then knowing the word and then saying because I'll be having them say it to identify the initial and ending phoneme and then action and expression they just have to be able to identify those different types of phonemes.
Okay. Um, and then also, I was talking with you as well. Some students may still be struggling with just the initial or the ending probably is going to be the trickier one for them. So it may even be that, you are able to observe them and you're kind of adjusting what you're working with them on based on how they're doing as well. Okay. How do you plan to collect student evidence through the assessment data aligned to your learning targets through like your formative assessment, your independent work, or summative assessment?
I gotta change this. But I'll be collecting the data by seeing if they can sort the first and ending sound out by being able to identify it. And then in the matching sort, I also have them sorting the first sounds if they sound the same. So definitely seeing if they're able to sort them in the same piles. Um and then And then at the end, like seeing if they can, without seeing a picture or word, seeing if they can identify the initial and ending phoneme with just having a word said to them.
Okay. I also want to encourage you, like I know you're going to be observing and there's only 4 or 5 of them, but I would encourage you that if you're doing an observation anytime that you have their names written down and you're writing like checks or something next to their name as they're getting it right, because it is very challenging to recall all of that in the lesson. That way you actually have data. Maybe it's based on how many check marks or how many stars or whatever you put by their name, because it is harder to know exactly where they are if you just are observing and not recording it or writing it down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the materials that you're going to use to teach the content to the appropriate level of rigor, and explain how this is appropriate to the task.
So I'll be having them use the sorting cards, flashcards, a pencil, and not the post-it note anymore. But the main rigorous part is kind of sorting and able to say the word without seeing the word. You're just seeing a picture. And then they'll be sorting it into the different piles.
And I would also say for that section that you could put down, you're using the Florida Center for Reading Research website, which is like a research-based resource for teachers that has a ton of different extensive lessons that you can download for free that are at the appropriate level to help students be able, bless you, to help students be able to gain literacy skills. So I think that that is something that is a great resource that you're using as well. Okay, whoops. Tell me about the instructional strategies that align with the lesson objective.
So the lesson objective is for them to identify the phoneme. So definitely incorporating academic feedback, because they're gonna need reassurance, because there is one kid in the group that I know that if he just gets an okay, he kind of like gets down on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs the reassurance of what he did and why it was good. Definitely having differentiation for them because they are lower level students, but if they don't understand something, then stopping and making sure that they all know it. And then definitely engaging them so they stay focused and understand what they're learning.
Okay, yeah, and definitely through some of those things we're talking about, we're kind of bringing that vocabulary down to their level, maybe getting them acting it out or something. I think will continue to help them to engage in that as well. All right, how do you plan to make adaptations during the lesson? So you kind of focused on this for the previous question, but like, how do you plan to clarify? Let's say I'm giving you, you gave me directions and I don't understand, like how will you clarify?
Probably redoing the instructions and then modeling it out, like having an example for you so you know what you are doing and what you're supposed to be paying attention for.
Okay, and then how do you plan to remediate? Like, let's say we do this lesson, I still don't get it, and next week you're going to teach it again. How would you do that for me?
I would probably, in between the time that I'm going to teach it again, pull you back to the table and have you do another activity to see what's going on and to see where you're getting stuck so I can correct that. Probably because she said not to use worksheets for remediation or video. So probably going on the website again and seeing what other activities they have.
They have a ton of resources, Lauren, that are incredible. The thing is they take some time to cut out and things like that. So, you know, I would recommend saving them even because once you make them, if you laminate them, you can have them forever, and those are great. Okay, so let's say that I'm in your class and I I get it done. I know initial, I know final sounds. What would you do next for me for extension?
I uh, I gotta work on this. I'm not the best, but we're getting better. Um,
There you go.
I would probably say like making the word a bit higher because I know that some of the words I am using are a bit I don't want to say easy, but
Yeah, they're like CBC words, consonant,
yeah.
non-consonant. Yeah.
So probably like making them higher or more difficult so you aren't just getting it like right off and then you're done. So
And here's another thought. What about medial sounds? So you've done beginning and ending. What about the middle? What about, can I hear those sounds there? How do I put those sounds together to make a word? How do I take those sounds and put them onto paper, like to phonics, and be able to write them, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Your action plan. What describe how you plan to achieve the goals in your lesson?
So definitely in the action plan we talked about the subject knowledge and definitely going with we talked about multi-sensory as well. I believe in engaging the learners. So definitely like making sure I know what my lesson plan is and what I'm implementing before going in for the high subject knowledge. Like I said, I do plan on practicing again because I'm going home this weekend, so my family will get to see that.
There you go.
Also,
have some bonding with mom.
yeah. Also engaging learners because they are doing different activities, so making sure that they're all getting it when they're engaged with the different activities. I wouldn't say it's very multi-sensory, but definitely with the hearing and seeing the different pictures, not a word, and they have to think of the word. That's very multi-sensory.
And if you choose to have them act out those words or the objective or something like that, that would also be a way to kind of incorporate their senses and movement into the lesson as well. Just a thought. Okay, so I am going to look at the recap part. So let me find your lessons plan. So basically, in this lesson, we are going to be looking for students to demonstrate an understanding of phonemic awareness and initial and final phonemes. And you're looking for them to master that at a 70% mastery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And for your instructional strategies, oh boy, I have to find them again. It looks like you're going to be using academic feedback, where you're going to be, especially for the one student, providing them with detailed information about, how they're doing. You're going to provide differentiation by having the students, if they're struggling, you're going to provide, some time in that small group to be able to help them achieve that mastery of that goal. And then you're going to be engaging learners through multi-sensory strategies. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so I plan to be looking for students to be actively engaged, for them to be practicing initial and final phonemes. And I will be looking for them to be participating in the matching, where they're using the picture cards from FCRR. And then also you'll be telling them words and they'll be orally responding to them. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. I think that was all for that, wasn't it?
Yes.
Do you want to keep recording? I know we're going to talk about some things afterwards, or do you want to stop it?
I can stop it.
Okay.